are standing in a room full of people, the lights are low, a perfect cake sits waiting, and glasses are raised. It is an anniversary, a birthday, a wedding milestone, the 10th year of a successful business venture. You smile, you accept the praise, you share the joy. Everyone around you is celebrating the accumulation of time, the successful passage of another rotation around the sun. This, they believe, is proof of growth, stability, and happiness achieved. But if you look closely, past the glittering facade and the forced optimism, you feel a low, pervasive hum of anxiety. You feel a corrosive weight settling in your chest, because every anniversary is a lie. Every milestone, every year counted, is not a monument to happiness but a ticking clock counting down to the final realization of a crushing truth. This is the ultimate, inescapable logic of Arthur Schopenhauer, the philosopher who argued that life is an oscillation between the sharp pain of desire and the dull ache of boredom, that existence is fundamentally suffering, and happiness is merely a momentary cessation of that suffering. For Schopenhauer, an anniversary is not a celebration of what has been gained, but a brutal, relentless quantification of what has been irrevocably lost. It is a moment when the cosmic ledger is opened, and you are forced to confront the ever-increasing deficit of regret. We treat these yearly markers as celebrations of continuity, but Schopenhauer forces us to see them as interruptions, jarring moments of clarity that rip us out of the comfortable illusion of the present and slam us against the unchangeable reality of the past. The years are not piling up achievements, they are burying possibilities. They are accumulating regret like interest on a high-risk loan that can never be fully repaid. The celebratory toast is actually a declaration of how much time has passed without the attainment of true, lasting contentment, which Schopenhauer assures us is impossible anyway. Consider the wedding anniversary. Two people look into each other's eyes and recount the vows, the early days, the dreams. But what they are truly measuring is the distance between the ecstatic promise of that initial commitment and the inevitable compromises, the disappointments, and the erosion of individual identity that comes with sustained coexistence. That 5th anniversary cake doesn't just represent 5 years of marriage. It represents 5 years where the idealized image of the partner you married has gradually dissolved into the flawed human reality you tolerate. The 10-year mark is the public declaration of successful commitment, but it is simultaneously a private acknowledgement of all the alternative paths not taken, all the potential lives sacrificed on the altar of stability. Schopenhauer understood that the very duration of the relationship becomes evidence of the suffering endured to maintain it. Now think about the birthday. This is the most personal and unavoidable countdown. We mark the day of our arrival, yet every subsequent celebration is merely a reminder of our determined progress toward departure. The birthday candle is a tiny flame illuminating the deepening shadows of mortality. We smile at the cards and unwrap the gifts, trying desperately to focus on the joy of the present moment. But the deeper psychological reality is a chilling confrontation. Another year is gone, and with it, the dwindling resource of youth, energy, and opportunity. Schopenhauer's philosophy asserts that the human condition is driven by the will, a blind, striving, insatiable force that manifests as endless desire. When a desire is met, satisfaction is fleeting, instantly replaced by boredom and the rise of a new desire. When a desire is not met, the result is suffering. Anniversaries are milestones where we are forced to pause and tally the balance sheet of the will. We look back and see the desires we failed to achieve, regret of inaction, and the desires we did achieve, only to find them hollow, regret of futile action. The anniversary forces us to quantify the sheer, massive amount of unfulfilled longing that defines our life up to that point. And here is the corrosive mechanism of regret that Schopenhauer diagnoses. The memory of previous anniversaries is used as evidence against the present moment. On your 40th birthday, you remember your 30th, and suddenly, the decade that felt vast and full of potential when you were 30 now appears alarmingly short and largely wasted. The aspirations set on that previous milestone, the career pivot, the creative project, the geographical move, are now phantom limbs. They are opportunities that time has amputated, and the anniversary forces you to feel the ghost pain of those lost chances. You are not celebrating the present. You are mourning the past self who still believed those dreams were easily accessible. This despair is universal. Before we dive deeper into Schopenhauer's solution, If such a thing exists, tell me, where are you confronting this truth? Which city are you watching from as you realize the celebration you attended last weekend was actually an accounting of existential debt? The insidious nature of the anniversary is that it demands comparison. It pulls you out of the natural flow of daily life, where suffering is manageable and regret is diffused, and compels you to place yourself on a quantifiable timeline. You are forced to see yourself relative to the person you were and the person you should have been. Schopenhauer would argue that this comparison is the engine of suffering, because the present self is always found lacking. We are all living embodiments of disappointment, not because we are inherently failures, but because the will that drove our past aspirations was infinitely greater than the reality that materializes. Take the professional anniversary, the 10th year at a company, the 20th year in a field. This is supposed to symbolize loyalty, competence, and upward mobility. But the moment you receive that plaque or attend that commemorative dinner, the voice of Schopenhauer whispers a darker narrative. It is 20 years of compromises. 20 years spent trading away finite time, the only genuine commodity you possess, for temporary security and shallow status. The regret here is twofold. The soul-crushing realization that the excitement and innovative zeal of the early years have been replaced by routine and cynicism, and the terrifying realization that the accumulated time has created a dependence, making escape into a more fulfilling path nearly impossible. The anniversary cements the decision. It acts as an anchor to the choice made years ago, making the path of regret appear fixed and permanent. We often hear the phrase, "I wouldn't change a thing," repeated at these celebrations, but Schopenhauer would dismiss this as the desperate self-deception of the intellectually weak. Of course, you would change things. You would undo the avoidable mistakes, mitigate the terrible judgment calls, and reclaim the years wasted on trivial pursuits. The very necessity of asserting no regrets proves the overwhelming pressure of the regret that must be suppressed to enjoy the celebratory moment. Schopenhauer's insight is that time is not a neutral river. It is a relentless, crushing force. Anniversaries are merely the high water marks showing how much that force has taken from us. They mark the distance covered, yes, but that distance is defined by the decay of the body, the diminishing sharpness of the mind, and the accumulation of painful memories. The older we get, the more potent and painful these anniversaries become, because the proportion of remaining time to past time shrinks dramatically. If you are 25, the 5-year anniversary feels like a short, manageable period. If you are 75, the 5-year anniversary feels like an enormous fraction of what is left. The closer we get to the end of the countdown, the louder the ticking becomes, and the more unbearable the weight of the past grows. This is the foundation of the countdown to regret. Every positive memory attached to a past anniversary now serves as evidence of subsequent loss. You remember the flawless health of your 30th birthday when your body now fails you at 50. You remember the boundless energy of the 10-year business anniversary when now, 20 years later, you feel burnout and exhaustion. The past is not a comforting sanctuary. It is a hostile territory filled with ghosts of superior versions of yourself, versions that were healthier, more hopeful, and possessed of more options. And the anniversary forces you to visit this territory, stand before the ghosts, and confess your current, diminished state. The societal celebration of the anniversary functions as a massive, collective conspiracy against true philosophical insight. We are encouraged, even mandated, to participate in the charade of counting progress, lest we face the underlying meaninglessness of the will's endless striving. To question the anniversary is to question the fundamental structure of human meaning, which is why the truth of Schopenhauer feels so jarring and difficult to accept. We prefer the lie of celebration because the reality of regret is too paralyzing. But Schopenhauer suggests that true wisdom begins when we stop celebrating the accumulation of years and start recognizing the nature of time itself. We must understand that duration guarantees suffering. The very continuation of existence ensures that new desires will arise only to be frustrated, new attachments will form only to be broken, and new hope will bloom only to wither into new regret. The anniversary is simply the day the bill comes due, a highly personalized audit where the only guaranteed outcome is a larger deficit than the year before. This is not pessimism for the sake of being morbid. This is a radical clarity that demands a complete reevaluation of how we live. If every anniversary is a countdown to regret, then the only logical response is to fundamentally change how we navigate time, how we manage desire, and how we confront the persistent illusion of happiness. We must learn to leverage this forced confrontation with the truth. We must stop allowing the anniversary to be a superficial distraction and instead use it as the brutal, necessary mirror Schopenhauer holds up to us. We are forced to confront the fact that most of our lives are spent chasing illusions. The illusion of permanence, the illusion of control, the illusion of lasting satisfaction. The anniversary rips these veils away, if only for a few painful hours, revealing the underlying reality, the relentless, grinding cycle of the will. The time marked is the time surrendered, and the life lived is a debt owed to the will that created us, a debt paid in the coinage of suffering. The question then becomes, can we learn to celebrate not the duration, but the occasional moments of genuine wisdom or aesthetic contemplation, the rare instances where we achieve a temporary, blessed emancipation from the will? This is the core path Schopenhauer suggests, and it is entirely antithetical to the modern, performative anniversary. We will delve deeper into this path in the next part, exploring how one might achieve this momentary peace and why Schopenhauer believed that the only escape from the terror of the will is through the non-attachment of the ascetic, or the temporary solace of high art. But the first step is recognizing the inherent danger of the milestone itself. To celebrate the year is to celebrate the ticking down of the clock, the increasing weight of the past, and the inexorable march toward the final, undeniable regret. This perspective is meant to shake you, to demand action, and to stop the performance of shallow joy. Don't let this insight become just another passing thought swallowed by the noise of the algorithm. This is fundamental to understanding your existence. To ensure this truth anchors itself in your mind, share your foundational truth with me. I want you to comment right now with the phrase, "The debt is real." Type those 3 words, a powerful act of acknowledgement that separates you from those who choose to live in delusion. Demonstrate your commitment to intellectual honesty by taking action now. Press the like button. That simple click is a declaration that you value uncomfortable truths over comforting lies. Subscribe to this channel, activate those notifications, and join the select few who are willing to face the raw, unvarnished reality of the human condition. Don't wait. Time is the currency we are discussing, and you are wasting it. And if this examination of anniversaries felt like a punch to the gut, wait until we dismantle the illusion of individual meaning. Next, we will explore the terrifying logical conclusion of Schopenhauer's thought, why your entire life is a magnificent mistake, and how that realization is the first step toward genuine freedom. The deeper you go, the harder it hits. Be prepared. We all mark time. We hang calendars, set reminders, and circle dates. But there are certain dates that don't just mark time. They judge it. They function as a mandatory audit of your existence, forcing you to look backward at the distance traveled. An anniversary is not merely a celebration of survival, it is a precise measurement of depletion. It is the annual moment when Arthur Schopenhauer forces you to look at the odometer of your life and ask the fundamental, corroding question, where did all that time go? And why do I feel so acutely empty? That sudden chill, that specific gravity of time pressing down, forcing the recognition of the irreversible nature of what has passed. That is the moment when the will to live pauses just long enough for the will to regret to step in and tally the final score of the previous year. Before we delve into the relentless physics of this accumulating regret, I need to know where this deep sense of time and existential weight is resonating. Tell me, what city are you watching this uncompromising analysis from right now? The essence of the anniversary as a countdown to regret lies in the collision between 2 incompatible realities, the boundless expectation we maintain for the future and the crushing finitude we discover in the past. We live, Schopenhauer suggests, perpetually suspended between the desire that propels us forward and the boredom that follows satisfaction. Anniversaries, however, rip us out of this forward momentum and hold us accountable to the raw data of history. They are historical markers that inevitably reveal the gap between what we promised ourselves we would become and what we have actually become. This gap is the birthplace of all sustained philosophical regret. It is not merely the regret of specific actions which are correctable, but the profound regret of squandered possibility, the regret of having exchanged an infinite array of future paths for the single, narrow, imperfect path that we actually walked. Consider the nature of memory in this context. Schopenhauer understood that memory is not a perfect record. It is a strategic editing process designed to serve the current iteration of the will. We tend to remember the high points, the fleeting moments of satisfied desire, or the low points which we leverage to justify our current actions or complaints. But the anniversary demands that we account for the vast gray expanse between these peaks and valleys, the years of routine, the hours of wasted indecision, the thousands of minutes spent simply enduring the ordinary weight of existence. The anniversary makes us calculate the cost of those intermediate moments. The past, viewed through the lens of a fixed date, transforms from a comforting narrative into an irreversible debt. Each passing year on the calendar represents a principle that has been spent, and the accrued interest is regret. We are not allowed at that moment the luxury of deceiving ourselves about how much time remains. The countdown has a visible, physical manifestation, and every milestone is simply a signpost confirming the diminishing velocity of remaining life. This brings us to one of the most devastating insights into time, its acceleration. Why does time seem to crawl when we are young, making a single summer feel eternal, yet fly past in a blur once we reach maturity? Schopenhauer argues that time's perceived speed is inversely proportional to the novelty of our experience. For the child, every day is a universe of new sensations, new lessons, new pains, and new satisfactions. The will is constantly encountering fresh resistance, requiring massive amounts of conscious attention to navigate the world. This dense engagement stretches the perception of time. Every single day holds enough novel information to feel significant. But as the countdown progresses, as we solidify into adulthood, we acquire habits. We establish routines. We fall into predictable patterns designed by the will to minimize pain and maximize efficiency. The result is a devastating spiritual atrophy. Life becomes a series of identical days, indistinguishable from one another. Our attention is no longer required to focus on the moment, because the moment is merely a repetition of the last 1,000 moments. Schopenhauer described this as the congelation of the will into fixed character. Once the will has settled into its groove, it stops generating novelty. It simply executes the program. And when there is no novelty, there is no dense engagement, and time collapses upon itself. It is exactly as if our brains begin to compress the files of repetitive experience, making the last 5 years feel like a single, brief season. The anniversary date, therefore, is not just 1 year removed from the last. It often feels like a shocking jump cut across a vast, unremembered span of compressed duration. The psychological effect of this acceleration is the intensification of regret, because the remaining time, though short, is passing faster than the long formative years we wasted. We realize too late that the opportunity for change is dwindling, just as the awareness of our imperfections is maximizing. The deeper tragedy lies in how we utilize our years in the relentless pursuit of illusory future goals. Schopenhauer viewed life as a perpetual state of striving toward objectives that, once attained, reveal their profound inadequacy. We spend years striving for the perfect job, the ideal relationship, the financial benchmark, telling ourselves that, then, we will be happy. The anniversary forces a reckoning with these past goals. It demands that we look at the prizes we fought so hard to acquire, the promotion, the stable marriage, the home, and honestly assess the quantum of lasting happiness they delivered. And the painful truth, the Schopenhauerian truth, is that the moment of achievement was instantaneous, the satisfaction fleeting, and the subsequent condition quickly reverted to a renewed state of striving, or worse, simple boredom. The pain of the pursuit lasted longer than the joy of the reward. Every anniversary, whether of a wedding, a career start, or a sobriety milestone, is a monument to a promise we made to ourselves about what that achievement would deliver. The date stands rigid, unmoving, while the emotional landscape around it has eroded. We find ourselves standing next to the statue of our past success, feeling the cold indifference of the present moment, realizing that the future we worked for is merely the present moment, and it is still lacking. It is a profound demonstration of the will's endless, self-deceiving treadmill. We exchanged years of present suffering for a moment of future relief, only to find that the relief was temporary and the years are now permanently gone. The total inventory of life, audited on the anniversary date, shows a massive deficit in retained happiness versus expended effort. This is the bitter mathematical conclusion of Schopenhauerian pessimism. This chronological audit also highlights the terrible cost of missed opportunities, the shadow lives that might have been. The regret that truly suffocates on an anniversary is not usually about commission, but about omission, the actions we failed to take, the chances we declined out of fear, caution, or a philosophical paralysis rooted in the belief that the present pain of action was greater than the certain boredom of inaction. On the anniversary of a key decision point, we are confronted by the ghost of the self who made a different choice. This phantom self, projected by memory, seems vigorous and full of potential, contrasting sharply with our current, solidified, and somewhat weary reality. Schopenhauer taught that every decision narrows the field of possibilities, and as the countdown progresses, the weight of the roads not taken becomes almost unbearable. We look at the date and realize that the window to access that alternate potential has decisively closed. The will, which compels us to act, simultaneously restricts our vision of alternatives, and the anniversary is the annual moment when that restrictive vision is shattered by the clear, unforgiving light of historical fact. Furthermore, the social pressure surrounding anniversaries exacerbates this regret. Society dictates that these dates must be marked with celebration, with displays of enduring love, success, or stability. This mandatory performance forces us to polish the superficial veneer of our lives, to tell the story of the past year in celebratory, triumphant terms regardless of the internal reality. This dissonance between the external performance of happiness and the internal reality of profound weariness and unmet striving introduces a secondary layer of corrosive regret, the regret of insincerity. We are forced to lie, if only to ourselves, about the true cost of surviving another year. The performance of joy on an anniversary is often the most painful demonstration of the will's need to maintain the illusion of progress, even as the internal balance sheet reveals deepening bankruptcy. We cling to the symbolism of the milestone, the gold ring, the certificate, the commemorative photo, while the substance of genuine, lasting satisfaction has long since dissolved into the corrosive stream of passing time. The very concept of the anniversary demands permanence, but Schopenhauer's universe is defined by relentless flux and entropy. Nothing endures, not love, not success, not even pain. Anniversaries attempt to carve a fixed point into the flowing river of time, pretending that the emotional intensity or significance of that original moment remains undiminished. But time itself is the ultimate agent of corrosion, ensuring that the passion of the beginning is replaced by the routine of the middle, and the routine is replaced by the inevitable fading into the past. Thus, the anniversary serves primarily to measure this decay. It reminds us of the vibrancy that was, highlighting the dullness that now is. This revelation, that time is inherently destructive, and that all effort is ultimately futile against the will's constant striving, ensures that every anniversary, rather than being a marker of achievement, becomes a painful marker on the long, slow countdown toward existential regret. We are witnessing the ultimate Schopenhauerian irony. The more significant the event we choose to celebrate, the more profoundly the anniversary forces us to confront the fact that everything has changed, everything has diminished, and everything is leading toward the same singular conclusion. This confrontation leaves us strategically bankrupt, aware of the irreversible losses, yet still trapped on the treadmill of desire. This understanding profoundly shifts your perception of every passing year. We must internalize this truth, that the past is a debt I cannot repay. That is the phrase I want you to anchor this insight with today. Drop that phrase in the comments right now and affirm this stark truth to yourself and to this community. We are building a cohort of uncompromising thinkers here, driven by the search for truth, not comfort. Subscribe to this channel and join us in this ongoing exploration. Hit the like button immediately, because your support ensures this critical analysis of reality reaches every seeker who needs to escape the illusions of optimistic delusion. I promise you, the ultimate conclusion of this Schopenhauerian countdown, the philosophical path to navigate and perhaps transcend this accumulating regret, is even more devastating and ultimately freeing than anything you have heard so far. You absolutely must be here for the final concluding strategy. The glass rises in the air, the champagne bubbles, reflecting the artificial light of the hall or the soft warmth of the fireplace. The music is cheerful. The voices are loud. We look across the table, or at the framed photograph, and proclaim the success of a cycle. Another year, another victory against time, another solid foundation of memories. But beneath this facade of celebration, there is a terror that Schopenhauer saw as the relentless truth of our existence. He saw the celebration of an anniversary, whether personal, marital, or institutional, not as a milestone of completion, but as a clock that has just struck the hour, marking the irretrievable loss of another slice of our finitude. What is celebrated in an anniversary, after all, is the illusion of permanence in a universe defined by its transience. This is the third and final part of our journey through the shadow of time. If the previous parts established the inherent pain of the will and the inevitability of suffering, this final part is the climactic confrontation, the moment when the individual must face the distorted mirror that celebration offers them. The anniversary is the only date when time, the most relentless of creditors, comes to collect its debt with compound interest. It has not only taken the year that passed, but has also made definitive the impossibility of recovering the previous years. Human life, according to Schopenhauer's tragic vision, is essentially a mortgage on happiness, where the principal is never paid, only the interest of suffering. The anniversary is the formal moment of audit, where the accountant, time, opens the books and reveals the balance, a growing column of regrets. Before we plunge into the cold abyss of the conclusion, allow me a pause. Where in the world does Schopenhauer's relentless truth find you? Share the city from which you absorb this worldview. It is an important connection, because the pain of time is universal, but the perception of it manifests in every corner of this planet. The climax of Schopenhauer's thinking about the anniversary lies in irreversibility. The great tragedy of time is not that it takes us to death, but that it denies us the chance to live the past again. This time, correctly. Regret is not just an emotion, but a philosophical proof of the will's inability to fulfill its purpose. The will desires, seeks, and when it fails, creates pain. But when it finally reaches its goal, satisfaction is instantaneous and fleeting, only to give way to a new desire or, worse still, to boredom. The anniversary is the day when the accumulated boredom of all ephemeral satisfactions and the profound regrets of lost opportunities merge into a single mass of melancholy. Think of the man celebrating the 10th anniversary of his career. He toasts to success and stability. But what does time whisper to him? Schopenhauer would say that time reminds him of the paths not taken, of the passions abandoned in favor of security, of the years when he traded the possibility of being for a guarantee of having. He looks back and sees that youth, that time of unlimited potential, was not spent in pursuit of the pure idea, as in art or contemplation, but rather in blind and frenzied service to the will, which pushed him from one desire to the next, never offering lasting peace. Regret, therefore, is not about specific failures. It is about the fundamental failure to recognize the nature of the game. The anniversary is the day when the curtain rises and we see that we were actors in a play written by a cruel playwright, the will, who promised us a happy ending, but only delivered repetition and wear. Each wrinkle, each expression line, each gray hair we see in the mirror is not just a sign of physical aging. It is the chronological documentation of a life spent in search of something that never existed. Happiness, for Schopenhauer, is a chimera, a temporary cessation of pain. And when we celebrate a year, we are only celebrating 365 more days of interrupted pain. This realization, this climax of thought, is the darkest moment. It is when the individual understands the betrayal. Nature endowed him with the fierce impulse to live, the will, but that same nature ensured that life would be inherently unsatisfactory. Memory, in anniversary celebration, is not a treasure, but a torment. It is evidence that the happiness felt today is only a weak and pale echo of the happiness that has already passed, and that, by definition, can no longer be recovered. Time is the river. The will is the force that makes us fight against the current, and the anniversary is the stone on the bank where we stop briefly to see how far we have been dragged and how little remains until the sea. The definitive conclusion is dark, but it is also liberating, insofar as it frees man from illusions. Schopenhauer teaches that, if life is suffering, and time is the vehicle that guarantees the persistence of that suffering, then the only form of peace is the silence of the will. The anniversary, by stirring up the past and charging the future, makes the present unbearable and, therefore, forces us to contemplate the only real path to redemption, the denial of desire. The celebration, with its noise and its pomp, is the last desperate cry of the will, trying to convince the individual that the cycle is worth repeating. But the man who has absorbed Schopenhauer knows that repetition is the very definition of hell. Each anniversary is not a triumph but a confirmation of the sentence. It is the date on which we sign the term of another stage of futility. And the final regret is not for not having been rich or famous. The final regret is for having desired to be anything in the first place, for having submitted to the drama of existence, knowing that the exit ticket is the only certain reward. That is why the joy in anniversaries is always forced, always a little hysterical. It is a social rite designed to mask the fundamental recognition of defeat against the erosion of time. The glass is touched to muffle the deafening tick-tock of the clock that is, undeniably, closer to zero. Life is a business that does not compensate for the costs, and the anniversary is the annual reminder that the deficit has grown. The individual, confronted with this truth, has two Schopenhauerian options: sink into cynicism and misery, or transcend the will through aesthetic contemplation, and ultimately, through asceticism. The anniversary, by catalyzing regret, is the necessary push for the intelligent man to step away from the wheel of illusion. He sees the party as the circus, and he refuses to be the clown who pretends that time does not exist. Schopenhauer's greatness lies in the fact that he does not offer us cheap comfort. He offers cold truth. And in the context of an anniversary, the truth is that each completed cycle is only the confirmation that time is winning, and death, the only permanent relief from the suffering of the will, is approaching. Regret is the shadow of time, and the anniversary is the moment when that shadow is longest and darkest. The final conclusion is this: for Schopenhauer, we do not celebrate anniversaries. We count down the time we have left to deny the will before the will is denied by us. And the measure of our regret will always be the measure of our life wasted serving the illusion. Now, if you have stayed with us until the end of this reflection, you have demonstrated a rare intellectual courage. The confrontation with these truths is not easy, but it is essential. There is a powerful phrase that summarizes the recognition of time's victory, a phrase that can be a turning point. Place the following in the comments, declaring this perception: the clock stopped lying. This phrase is the confession that we understand the cruelty of time. Confirm your presence and your decision to face the truth. Leave your phrase in the comments and join the community that refuses to live in illusion. Thank you for your attention and for your willingness to explore the deepest and darkest side of philosophy. Your journey of self-knowledge is important, and that is why you are here. We guarantee that you will continue to receive these perspectives that challenge conventional thinking. Press the subscribe button now, activate notifications, and leave your like, because this act solidifies your participation in the search for truth, no matter how uncomfortable it may be. And prepare yourself. The next chapter of our series will continue to dismantle the most comfortable illusions of modern life, revealing truths that most people spend their entire lives running from. You will discover the most dangerous mental strategy that you or anyone may be using right now. Don't miss the next revelation that promises to change the way you interact with power.